Okay, once more with feeling. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Okay, hey, yeah, just a brief introduction to what we're doing tonight. It'll be our second pair programming activity. We'll be doing the diamond kata. I'll talk about that shortly. But then pretty much the same playbook as a week ago when we did our first pair programming exercise. But first, as always, I did want to start off with Prime Minister's questions. Project One was due tonight. Had some really great chats about it on Slack. But what else can I tell you? What else would you like to know, either about Project One, Project Two, any feedback that you have for me, any observations that you want to share about what you've been doing in the class lately? Yeah, how was Project One? Okay.
Well,
Yeah, okay.
like kind of for me at least, because this is kind of like my first experience with Java coding. I'm not too confident with test-driven development. I'm not too confident with things. So I guess I'm wondering
Hmm.
when might we expect feedback so we know do we need to put more effort in it or
Great. Yeah, actually, great question about feedback. So while you're all pairing tonight, I'm going to be up here. I'm going to pull down all the submissions. I'm going to run through the testing script, and anybody's project that like falls over like on the first one, right? Hey, you maybe nothing wrong with it, right? Hey, it's the first project, and I want to make sure I give you feedback early. So I'll go through and like, hey, if you have like some fundamental error in command line parsing or whatever, I'll send you an email about it. Please go fix it. Don't want to get too far into project two if there's a fundamental problem with project one. And so that's like the first set of feedback. Although you were talking about like, oh boy, Java's still pretty new to me, and this is a little bit more involved than the koans were. Um, sorry, I just don't have the ability to look at code, or rather, sorry, I have the ability, I don't have the time. Let's be honest, right? To look at your code. That being said, if you want to stop by office hours, or hey, if you want to find a time that we can both sit down for half an hour, 45 minutes or something, walk through some things, I'm happy to do that on a one-on-one basis. But might also be okay to ask AI about the code too. Nothing wrong with getting some feedback there. Hopefully, it gives you some good advice. It probably will. Yeah. Good. Any surprises in Project One? Anything where you were like, oh, that was either super easy or super hard, or yeah,
I was confused about code coverage. So do our
yeah.
integration tests need to have 100% code coverage or like something around there? Or can our unit tests have that coverage?
Oh,
But our
excellent.
integration tests are like kind of okay.
Great question. So, both the unit tests and integration tests, as we've seen, count towards code coverage. And so then, but the question was like, hey, how much should the unit test cover versus how much should the integration test cover? I don't really have good guidelines for that. I would say, you know, ideally, you'd want your unit tests to be able to cover as much as possible because your unit tests are supposed to be faster. In for like projects one, two, three, and definitely one, two, and three, maybe even four, um, there's really not too much difference in terms of like the amount of heavy lifting done between your unit tests and your integration tests, because your integration tests just invoke a main method as doing something like, well, not much in project one, but even project two is like writing to a file. Doesn't take a long time to run. Now, when you get to Project 5 and you're dealing with the REST API, your integration tests are going to do a lot more because what your integration tests are testing is actually the interaction between the client and the server. And so the integration tests need to spin up a server and then, it takes a little bit more time. So that's where you might see a difference. And the reason when I say that is that, again, you want your unit tests to be super fast so you can just run them all the time. And integration tests, maybe you run before you're about ready to commit or something like that. So. But bottom line for the first projects, no, it doesn't matter. And so then, you may find that your integration tests, because they are integration tests, cover like, 50% of your code, maybe even 60% of your code. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Or maybe get all 75. But it's probably easier to do test-driven development with unit tests first. Yep. Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Just a quick refresher, you may have mentioned this last time, but how do you want us to set up for project two? Just like make a branch of the
Oh,
original project
great
repository?
question. So for project two, well, it doesn't matter what branch you work on, but it all matters where you submit from, right? So if what makes sense for you is to have a separate branch for project two, great. Historically, students haven't done that. So to prepare for project two, really all you need to do is rename your project one class to project two. and make sure that the pom.xml is updated to have your the main class for your project be project 2. That's probably the easiest way to get started. If you're super familiar with Git or you want to experiment with branches, yeah, you can make a branch and work on project 2, as long as you check out that branch on the PSU machine before submitting it. Yeah. Good question. Yeah.
To grab code coverage. Do we have is there like an external tool we're using to do that or internal?
Yeah, oh yeah, sorry, yeah. And this was a great question. This was covered in the how to test your projects handout. Bottom line is you run this command here. So this -p grader runs a Maven profile that that enables some additional work for your Maven project. And basically what it does is it does the code coverage for you. So it's not I don't think of it as an external tool because it's part of the Maven build, but it does use a third-party tool called Jacoco for Java code coverage, which will get all the code coverage information. So yeah, so maybe you'll go through and run this, and if the build passes, great. Otherwise, if it fails, then scroll up about 10 lines, and there'll be a warning message that says, "Hey, your code only had 0.67, so 67% coverage where 0.75 was required." Sorry, 5%. And it is run during the submission script. Yep. So yeah, and a lot of stuff goes by, so it might be easy to miss, but yeah, you'll still see it there. The submit script will not fail if your build fails, so you got to pay attention to that. So anyway, but if since you submitted, I'll also take a look and let you know. Yeah.
If your build fails, right?
Sorry?
When you run a Maven package, Maven W package.
Yep, Maven W package.
Build fails?
Well, good question. So Maven package, the package phase goes all the way through building the jar file. So it'll compile the source code, it'll compile the unit tests, it'll run the unit tests and build the package. That is before the integration tests. So what Verify does is it does all the stuff through package, then it will compile and build the integration tests and run the integration test and then verify the integration test pass. So yeah, so Maven package is good, like when you're testing with the command line, you're just building on the command line, going back and forth, but then the whole build goes all the way through the verify phase. Yeah.
Unit test? Well,
Yes. Verify runs the unit test. Yep. Yeah. Right, but it doesn't run the integration tests. Yeah, you have to run. Verify will run the, yeah, it's interesting what Maven does. So there is an integration test phase, which just runs the integration tests. And then there's a separate verify phase that verifies them, which I think this is meant for sort of very complex integration tests that will bring up a bunch of things. And there might be more than just what's run during the integration test phase. But yeah.
Just to clarify, Maven only runs your local integration test, not if you had an integration on Discord or not Discord, sorry, GitHub. Would they run those ones?
Correct. So yeah, when you run just anything on the command line, it's just there on your local machine. As we saw so on Monday, the continuous integration build is triggered by a push or a PR creation, but has to be a push first. A push to GitHub. That's when the CI build is triggered.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. Awesome questions. Anything else? Well, catch your breath, but not for too long because project 2 is due next week. Actually, is that right? I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. And this is the thing, experience has shown that sort of once you get over project 1, project 2 is just an increment over that. And so then, most students are able to get it done in a week, but it's something that, please be sure to at least, glance at the project, start thinking about it tomorrow so that you're ready for the POA on Sunday. And so that you have enough time to, implement an experiment between now and then because the file API is a little bit different. And, working with print writers and input streams and things like that, you'll need to figure it out. I'm confident you will. Awesome. Anything else I can tell you for Prime Minister's questions? Nice. Let's dive into our programming kata. Okay. So tonight's kata is the diamond kata. Very simple one. The whole idea is that you are given a letter and the program prints out or basically generates a diamond whose center line is the letter that you printed. So you give the program or you give the method, however you want to do this, the letter C, capital C, and then you get a diamond that looks like this. So here in the middle is C and C, and it goes all the way up to A, and things are nicely symmetrical in this. And so yes, there is one space between the B's. There is 5 spaces. Wait, 1, 2, 3 spaces there. Yeah, Pascal's triangle. Yeah, stuff like that. Let's see. This is linked to on the course homepage if you need to have it there in front of you. Um, anything I can tell you about the kata itself before we go and check out the code?
More about the code book.
Okay. Well, and so then let's look at the code then. So in the Kata's repository, which I hope you all have a checkout and the ability to push to. If you don't, let me know and I'll help you out. I have added a diamond directory that has 12 kata projects in it. And so then this looks exactly like your like the leap years one did. You start out and you've got a diamond class that basically has a main method that does nothing, and then accompanying it is a diamond test, and there's a diamond integration test, diamond IT also. So basically starting in the same place that you did on Monday. Please be sure to do a git pull or in IntelliJ, if you just say update project, which is what I like to use because there's a keyboard shortcut for Command T on the Mac, that will go and get the latest code. You may need to, after pulling everything down, you may need to go to the Maven tab over here and either sync or reload all of the projects to get everything to show up. Other than that, I think that's everything I want to let you know about the katas, but anything else before we start diving into it? Nope. Okay, then I'm going to stop the recording and then we can get started. Let's just start out with let's take 10 minutes to get everybody's environment set up, pull down the latest changes, make sure things build, go find your partner, go claim your cards. I have both the number cards and then also the reflection questions. And we'll start off doing 10 minutes to start getting started. Also take some time to like game plan with your pair partner. Decide who's going to be the driver first, who's going to be the navigator first. Let's do 8 minutes, go crazy. 8 minutes coding rounds for a driver, and then we will do a 2-minute reflection and then start up another one with the partner switched. Nice. Awesome. Yeah, let me know how it goes. Meanwhile, I'll be looking at your submissions. So, okay, another evening of pair programming. I'm really curious about what your experience is like tonight, how it compared with last week. What was the same? What was different? What was easier? What was harder? Things that you learned. So I want to hear all about it. And let's just do this popcorn style. So who has an interesting thought? Who has an observation they'd like to share? Yeah.
I mean, we got into a good flow. Like at first, like we were like struggling a little bit, and then we started like connecting dots and things like, and we're like, oh wait, and like suddenly like there's a spark that happened, right?
Nice.
And we
Yeah.
started going and like changing things. So that was good. It felt similar to last week initially, where it's like, why are we instantiating diamond? How do we do that? And then after that, we're like, oh yeah, let's go.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, sort of like, yeah, there might have been a little bit of a rocky start, or like until, but you found your groove and things seemed easier. Great. Yeah. Other observations. Yeah, Alex.
My case, when I was the navigator, I was not as assertive, not assertive, but as like, I don't know, like willing to communicate my thoughts as I,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah, got to speak up, and that's one of the things. It's the conversation, and sometimes, especially like when the driver's on a roll, it's like, do I want to disturb them? But then again, right, this is meant to be a back and forth. So, yep, have find the opportunity to get the courage up to insert yourself. Great. Other observations people like to share? Yeah, Ed. Yep.
You know, it's like, you don't really, it's more thinking, I guess what we had to do that one was like thinking about.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was the low school part. So today we got like the algorithms got all that. Do that, there's and also figuring out something. How do you communicate, especially when you're.
Right. Yep. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This problem was a little bit more interesting. I'm curious to see what you think about next week's kata. But yeah, it's like I hope tonight reinforced test-driven development, and people are getting more familiar with unit testing, with using JUnit, with using Hamcrest, and then also just thinking about the tests that you want to write. Good. Thanks for taking that opportunity. Awesome. Other thoughts people like to share? Yeah.
Test-driven development was probably the most like, can't think of the words right now. Basically, it was very challenging for us to stick to the test-driven development because there's, especially for complex algorithm, not complex, but like multiple moving parts.
Yep.
It's there isn't the urge to want to finish the algorithm first and then write tests for it.
Yeah.
Then sticking to one very bare minimum thing and then.
That is the discipline. That's exactly the discipline that's required with test-driven development, right? It's like, oh, don't jump too far ahead, even though you know and you've been talking about it, you got the whole plan. I think like what I do in that situation is I just write down the notes, right? Like, oh yeah, right, this is what I want to do, and that gets it out of my head and lets me focus, and I'm not going to forget it, right? And then also, actually, if you're going to jump ahead on the tests. Right. I think that's what I've learned over the years. Like, oh yeah, like, I can imagine for this, you're talking about oh, these are all the situations I got to handle. Great. Jump ahead and like write all those tests or sketch out those tests. And then, at disable them because they're going to work right away and then build it incrementally that way. Yeah, I think that's, again, it's like trying to fall in love with the solution as much as you do solving the problem. Because your solution might change. Right. I know that, my experience has been is like, oh, great. I thought this is the way I had to do it. And I had to make it all complex. And oh, wait, it's really not that easy. Or it's like, oh, I thought it was going to be really easy. And then once I really started understanding more about how it's used through the tests, then that's when I realized like, oh, I need to have some complexity here. Oh, this thing's a little, nasty. So anyway, but good learning overall. Excellent. Awesome. Other thoughts, observations, questions, queries, things you'd like to share, ideas for next time. You got one more at bat for pair programming. Anything that you want to take with you next time? Anything you don't want to do next time? It's a week away. You probably got like 4 projects due before then or something like that. I understand. Are the cards helping? The cards are new this term. Was it okay? Good. Okay. Yeah.
We're finding the scrum things at the end of sprints.
Yeah, retrospective. That's exactly what they are. Yeah. Right. And okay, good. I tried the cards because I found that most people just blow through the reflection because they didn't know what to talk about. Well, I was like, okay, I'll make it. Hopefully, it makes it a little bit easier. And I understand the urge that it's like, oh, great, like let's keep coding because you're in the groove. But it really does help to have those reflections and pace yourself and stuff like that. And I'm really curious to see how it works with mobbing in a couple of weeks. But that's in a couple of weeks. All right. Any other observations people like to share about pairing? No. Okay. Looking ahead at next week on Monday, we're going to be talking about refactoring. Refactoring is like kind of a big topic. There's lots of stuff there, but I think it's also something kind of unique and very powerful. So I encourage you all to check out the screencast for Monday. There's lots of cool stuff there. And the refactoring will be, you'll be helping me identify some smelly code and what we can do about it. And then you'll see me up here refactoring the code using tools in IntelliJ to teach you all about that. So, Monday, we'll do that. And then on Wednesday, we'll do our third and final pair programming activity. Next Wednesday, if you've already done this twice, which I think you have in person, then great. You can try it remote. If you want to do some remote pairing, completely valid, but a different experience from what my students tell me and from my own experience too. Hey, if you weren't able to attend last week or this week, please, make sure to have it your second and final one in person. Nice. Okay. That's everything for tonight. Let me know if there's anything I can tell you about Project 2 over the weekend or whatever. And have a great one, everybody. I'll see you on Monday. Bye now.